So in 1977, Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, quite ill. This was the summer. By May, June, Srila Prabhupada was feeling quite eager to go to the West. And there were several causes of that, many others that I cannot guess because they're on the divine level, but those that were obvious to me. One was he felt very disturbed with the goings-on in India. His health was not allowing him to move around and do much. And that was frustrating for him because he was a very active person, very enthusiastic to use every ounce of his body time, every ounce of his body energy to preach. And he really wanted to go to America and preach. He had been accustomed to constantly traveling and preaching and pushing the movement forward. And he felt that even if it cost his life, that it was the right way. He talked about the glory of dying while preaching. So somehow an errors had been created in management of Prabhupada's affairs. And number one, his passport had expired. And number two, more importantly, his green card had expired. It had not been properly renewed. And when Prabhupada came to know this, he was very, very disturbed because he considered that that was his Prabhudatta Desha, Paschata Desatarine. That was his mission. He sometimes would say, I'm the guru of America, right? That he couldn't go to America. It was the greatest disappointment, an insult to his mission, to his work. So I was assigned to go, and first of all, I had to renew Prabhupada's passport. So I went to the House of Parliament, and there are the offices of the MPs there, that round building there on Raisna Hill. And it's quite funny, but in those days, you could do such things. I could just walk in the door, foreign guy, just walk in, wander the halls, see some MP, oh, sir, and start preaching to him. Some of them, of course, were already familiar and friendly with us. And I found a person that was, and MP, and he wrote a special letter. And with that letter, I was able to go and get Prabhupada's Indian passport issued. So I returned with that Indian passport to Srila Prabhupada. And at the time, he had the old expired passports, 3 of them, stitched together. And he gave me those 3, which I still have in my possession. And I gave him that last passport. So then, the passport had to be authorized to enter America. And rather than renew the green card, we decided to get a simple visa. And so then again, I was sent to Delhi, to the American consulate, to get a visa into India. So I went and I was taken ahead of the line, being an American, to meet the Consul General of India. There was a lady at the time, and she ruled over all of the consulates of all India. And I sat in front of her and I explained my request. And she was a little in shock. And she actually said to me, wait a minute. She said, you're asking me to give a visa to an Indian. Where is the Indian? So I said, well, you see, he's not well, and he's in Vrindavan. He cannot come. And she said, well, then the answer is very clear. He's too ill to come here, therefore he's too ill to go to America. Rejected. Now, of course, that is the end in normal dealings. You can't go beyond her. Even the President of the United States would have a difficult time overturning that decision. The immigration officers have such authority. Especially in America, they have such authority. So But I refused. I couldn't accept that was not how Prabhupada had trained us. Prabhupada, said impossible is in a fool's dictionary. He did say that. And of course, it's been said many times before, but Prabhupada also said it. It's a word in a fool's dictionary. So I had, from my time in Calcutta, a relationship with one Mr. O'Neill, who was the consulate head of the Calcutta branch, which was a small branch on Ho Chi Minh Sarani Road in Calcutta. But we used to visit him, and that went back before my time to Gargamuni and Chutananda and other devotees who were preaching Sridhar Swami. They used to visit him also. Just in those days, there was no air conditioning anywhere in India, practically. And Mr. O'Neill, in his little council room, had one of the only air conditioners in Calcutta. It was an old, rattling, noisy window unit. But we used to enjoy to just, in the hot, sweaty summers, to sit there and have a little refreshment and a little chat with Mr. O'Neill occasionally. And I inherited that tradition from Gargamuni. So I knew Mr. O'Neill, and he was very familiar with the devotees. And Mr. O'Neill used to ask us different questions about what was going on. When you went to Mayapur, did you see those army men? There were so many army men. Now, this was the time of the Bangladesh War, just, around that era, quite a lot of tension along that road going to Mayapur. And there were army movements there. I saw them regularly. But I kind of understood that these are not the questions I should be getting involved in. It's not my business. So I would just say, no, I didn't notice. I don't know. I didn't see anything. Like that. But still, I knew these questions were not very good questions for him to be asking, right? At least for me. So now I'm in Delhi with this rejection of Prabhupada's visa. And I thought I had an idea. So I picked up the phone and I called Mr. O'Neill. Of course, I had to book a lightning call. In those days, you can't just call and reach someone. You had to pay 7 times the rate for what was called a lightning call if you actually wanted to make a call and connect to someone. If you had a phone, which in itself was difficult to obtain or find. Usually we had to go to the GPO and book a call and wait for, sometimes we book a room across the street from GPO and wait for 1 day or 2 days. There were no telephones. This was all thanks to socialism. So I booked that call and Mr. O'Neill answered and I explained I needed a visa for Srila Prabhupada and he was very happy and said, no problem, bring him in and I'll give him a visa. So then I explained a little further, well, you see, he's in Vrindavan and he's not well. He said, so why you're calling me? That's not my territory, that's the territory of the lady who is my boss. So I can't override her decision. I said, yeah, I'd already gone to her and she's already refused. He said, so why are you calling me? She's my boss. I said, Mr. O'Neill, you know and I know that she is not your real boss. He said, what are you saying? I said, Mr. O'Neill, please forgive me. You know I'm a fanatic, and I will do anything for my spiritual master. Please don't make me do this, but I will have this visa. Otherwise, I think the Indian government would be very interested to know about your questions. And he was furious. He started yelling and threatening and cursing on the phone. It was hot fire coming out of the phone. I said, I'm really very sorry, Mr. O'Neill, but I have no choice. I must have this visa. And he said, he just kept cursing and threatening. And I said, Mr. O'Neill, there's an Alliance Air flight. I think it was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm getting on it, and I'll be there tonight. And I put the phone down. And he didn't accept. And myself and Balavanta Prabhu, we flew to Calcutta. So when I got to the airport in Calcutta, I again booked a call to Mr. O'Neill. I said, Mr. O'Neill, we're here. And he was still yelling like anything, threatening like anything, cursing words that you couldn't imagine. And I said, I'm sorry, O'Neill, but I'll be there in the morning. And put down the phone. But no, sorry, he then said, all right. He actually said, all right, on the phone. He said, bring your damn passport, and I'll give you your damn visa. And I think the words were a little bit more than damn. I think the emphasis was a little stronger than that. But then, so Balavanta Prabhu, he said, I'm going back. You know, I came from Atlanta just to visit Prabhupada. I don't want to waste time sitting around in Calcutta. This same airplane is turning around, going back to Delhi. I'm on it. I said, I don't think we should do like that. Two of us were sent to do the work. You don't change, Prabhupada said, you don't change the horse in the middle of the river, which is, in our normal way of saying in America, we say you don't change horses in midstream, but Prabhupada used to say it like that. Don't change the horse in the middle of the river. So Balavanta didn't quite agree or see that. He went back. So the next day, I got the visa. Mr. O'Neill wouldn't see me. Only the secretary took the passport. She said, better stay here. She put in his office, came with a stamp and signature, came out. She said, you better go. Better go. So I happily went away with the visa. And I booked a lightning call to the secretary, Tamal Krishna Goswami, who was there in that small room outside of Prabhupada's drawing room. Prabhupada, yeah, I didn't want to tell that. It may be hurtful for Balavanta. So I booked a call through to Tamal Krishna Goswami, who was the secretary, and that again was 7 times the rate, lightning call, and Tamal, and you had to yell also, even after paying 7 times the rate for the privilege to barely hear what you were saying. You know? And so I was yelling in the phone, I've got the visa. And Tamal said, where is it? I said, it's in my hand, in front of me. He said, are you looking at it? I said, I'm looking at it. It's right in front of me. He said, you're sure? I'm sure. Okay. So then Tamal went into Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada was sitting up on his bed in the drawing room. He said, Srila Prabhupada, Abhiram has the visa in his hand. And Prabhupada went. So that whole experience, I could never do it myself. I couldn't do it today. If some rich man said, I'll pay you $1 million, and you go bully the council and the immigration officers, the consul generals of India, you force them to give me a visa to go. I couldn't do it. For $1 million, I couldn't do it. So clearly, it was Krishna's plan, and I was privileged to observe it, to watch this pastime, that even the demons had to stand back and grant the visa for Prabhupada. Right? So Prabhupada had such fortune, luck. You can say luck. What is luck? Luck is the word that comes from the Bengali word. The British picked up this word luck. It comes from lucky. Lucky means Lakshmi. Right? It means the fortune, the good fortune, the blessings, right? Luck. So Prabhupada had this blessings. Such things could happen for him.